Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. Today we're making pork chili and beans with rice. Now they're requesting a 16-ounce can of kidney beans rinsed and drained. Now when you can beans, you usually use this is for a pint jar, you use 1 cup of beans and water added to it. Okay, that's exactly, and it'll fill the whole jar straight up. And I think you give a 1/2 inch headspace. All right, so if you don't can, you'll need a 16-ounce can of kidney beans. I've got my beans on cooking right now. I already measured them, so I'll be taking care of that as they're done. Right now we have to get the seasonings together. So we're gonna need, all right, 1½ teaspoons of chili powder. No, 1½ tablespoons. What am I talking teaspoons for? Now, if you don't know how to measure out what a 1/2 tablespoon is, 3 teaspoons actually make a tablespoon. So that's approximately what you'll need, is 1½ teaspoons plus that tablespoon. I do math all the time in the kitchen. This new math, I saw the young lady just struggling with it. And I looked at it and I said, this kind of math is not going to help them understand how to cook, sew, or anything. Because you need plain geometry, because you got to cut on the biases and stuff, which really means a 45-degree angle. You need a teaspoon of dry oregano. So I really feel sorry for these young ladies in this new math, which is ridiculous. I'm just putting all the seasonings in a bowl right now as I tell you what they are. You're going to need, all right, we'll get to that in a bit. They want 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I can see you trying to read recipes and everything else and not know what in the heck you're doing. All right, 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, ground cumin. And we're going to need 1/4 teaspoon of coriander. She must not like the smell of coriander very much. Most recipes I have always call for equal amounts, but this one's a little different. All right, now and pepper, they say to taste. So let me get my mortar and pestle and I'll start grinding it up and give you approximately what I'm going to put in mine. Because this is chili, I know you use a lot of pepper in it because I make chili, I should know. But this is going to be a casserole. I didn't even see what size. Oh, good, it's going to be cooking. We're going to need a Dutch oven. See, the size of pans that you use baking on is very important, because if you don't get the right size, you change the cooking. Actually, the cooking temperature. So when they tell you, try to do it. I'm not going to tell you, I play around sometimes with it, but I'm going to tell you to get the right size pot. Oh, I am putting just a little less, maybe 2 to 2½ teaspoons of black pepper. Because it's chili, I know you use a lot of pepper. Okay, let me get the meat now and we'll start working on that. The dishes in the sink. Stay there. Let me get this. All right, I came as close as I could to this. They are talking about a 2-pound boneless pork loin cut into bite-sized pieces. Got my pork loin. Just got to get it out of there. This is a little over. I couldn't get any smaller than this. Now, because it's 2 pounds, and remember there's about 130 grams for 1 pound, so you can imagine how much protein is in this. Remember, she's saying bite-sized pieces. So, we were always taught to rinse our meat, because we used to see what went on the equipment that they used. So we were always taught from young, rinse your meat and pat it dry, because if you have water on it, it's not going to do what it's got to do. Now they say bite size, so I'd have to say it depends upon how big your mouth is. Don't take it personal. Okay. So that's one. My package came in with 2 of them, so I've got about almost 300 grams of protein here. So you know this dish can feed a lot of people. Bite-sized pieces. Wow. I'm going to cut it that small. I'm going to cut mine this big. We'll still probably have to use a fork and knife, but I was trying to use one, so I know what I'm doing. People probably scream, take this off, take that off. I guess I could, but I'm not. This is a slicing knife. I want to know what knife I'm using. wash my cutting board and I will continue. Now you can wait for me, it's just a simple little thing I'm doing. I just always wash it as soon as I'm done. If I can, I always do. Okay, drop the knife, Sandra. Yeah, I did. My mother taught me to do that. Wash the cutting board after you finish with the meat before you continue cooking. Get everything off of it. The vegetable one, we didn't rush about. But most of the time she used the same cutting board, so she cut the meat first, clean it right away, and then use it for vegetables. And now they have everybody paranoid. God. Have you ever noticed on people, they call them what, the influencers, that they sit there and they all sound alike selling products to you. And they all seem to have the same problem. That sounds like a script. That's why when I did the Manjaro, I sat there and I ordered the bottle, told you what was in it, and then I gave you the ratio that I made it in and why I made it in that ratio, and I put that under for people who join only. Subscribing is differently. Joining, you have to pay $2.99. A lot of people pay $2.99 for everything. Okay. All right. Know these seasonings you mixed up? Mix them up and we're going to pour it and toss it all over this meat. Cooking nicely. So if you have dry beans and you want to cook, and they say 16 ounce, you only need 8 ounces of beans. Then cook them down, then you'll have just the right amount. This is how we had to do it. If you saw some of the cookbooks I used to see, they didn't give you measurements. They just told you what was in it, and you had, and they'd say rise twice. You had to know exactly what it meant. Those are kind of cookbooks I remember as a little girl. So when my mother was teaching me, as well as Julia Child and James Beard and the stuff I had to learn. That smells good. Another thing, these recipes can be cut down. Make them in half, and then you can sit there. We used to make meals, you could buy the trays, and we used to put the food in it and freeze them. Then that way, it was called TV dinners. So you can do that. That's very easy. You can make your own. You don't have to make this amount. You can cut the recipes in half if you wish. You can double them for a large party. You don't have to make it the exact amount that I'm doing. Like when I made that elk stew, it was for 16 to 20 people. I had to have it cut back for 4. It was the only way it was going to be done. All right, now that we did that, you're going to need a Dutch oven for this. Okay, we're going to have to do some chopping. But we're going to get this meat started because it's going to take a while. So you're going to need a tablespoon of oil. They want vegetable oil. So when they say vegetable, I'm going to use corn oil. By the way, if you pop popcorn, pop it in corn oil, nothing else. You get a better flavor of corn. And remember, in a Dutch oven, always put the oil or butter or something in it before you turn it on. We'll be chopping up some garlic and some onion. Oh, that's hot. Of course it is, Sandra. It's been cooking. Get that oil hot. Now you're going to need 2 cloves of garlic minced and 1 chopped yellow onion that will give you 1 cup. Okay, what cutting board do I want to use today? Yes, you should have different size cutting boards for different things and sizes of chopping you're doing. If you're going to do a lot of chopping, a little cutting board's not going to do it, so you should be able to get a big one. I have a big one when I do a lot of chopping. Okay. What am I doing? I'm not using it this time. Do be careful you don't cut your fingers. If you keep knives sharp like I do, you wear a lot of Band-Aids. Now the motion of this, I love this, Anne Burrell said, ocean of the motion, motion of the ocean I mean, going this way and coming, you know, coming down. You see how fast that goes? When I heard her say that, trying to explain it to other people, I said, oh God, I love that phrase of hers. You get a lot of onion cut in a few minutes. I hope your oil is heating up. Wait a minute, you just getting up. You're not even making this yet. What am I talking about? You're getting ready to have coffee. You're not ready for that. What I'm doing. And I'm going to cry through this. This onion is a new onion. What I mean when I say new onion, it's this year. It's got a lot of fluid in it. You can always tell when you have old onions. When you buy them, they don't have that strength in them normally. I'm going to show you something else about what they do so they can keep their knife in the motion of the ocean, as Anne says, which I think is hilarious, but she gets the point across. You have your fingers up on top here, right? But you see these two here? They go in the back. Now I'm going to chop. All right, go down. These 2 fingers push it forward. So when you come here and come back down, and you come up here, they push here, come down here, those 2 in the back, and the ones in the front guide the blade against your hand right here, you see? And that's how it's done. That's the full motion of the ocean. They leave that back part out and don't let you know, but these two fingers right here, your pinky and your thumb, are behind pushing it. Your other fingers are like this, straight down, where you can see like this, and the knife is going just like this, and you're guiding it. So that's how you guide it. You push and guide, and you have that motion going like that. And you can chop onions very, very fast. For me, it's uncoordinated for me. So you have all 5 fingers on your left hand pushing and containing and guiding the knife, and your right hand is just doing this motion. And you can go through a lot. She wants 2 garlic. Now I'm prone to more garlic, so I'm probably going to put 3 in to get more flavor. Now you can use the peelings of your vegetables if you wish for your compost or throwing them out. But I like to use the peelings, collect them, and make a stock out of them. And believe you me, the stock is very, very good. Then I strain it and put it in jars. For people who can it. Those who don't, you can put it in a jar and put it in the refrigerator, like I said, and use it in place of water in your recipes, and you will pick up the nutritional value of your food with that simple little step. You want it minced. So I'm just taking a shortcut. But remember, chefs, when they cook, they're fast because they're at a restaurant. How long is somebody going to wait for a meal? The only time I had to wait for over an hour when we went to Joe's place. He's dead and the business is closed now. My husband used to eat there all the time and have his paella, which was delicious. So when he had gotten me up here, he wanted to take me to this restaurant. And he asked Joe for paella, and Joe said, I haven't made that in years. And my husband told him that he had raved about it for so long. So when he got me up here, he wanted me to experience it. And Joe said, well, that's going to take an hour to an hour and a half. And I said, my husband said, that's fine, we'll wait. You could hear Joe yelling, go to the store and get me. Started giving orders, get all this, I need this. And Joe made a big pot. We ate the whole thing. He came out with a big pot, and it was delicious. He gave us sangria. That's when I was tied up for napkins because I didn't know sangria was a liquor drink. It's just I was hungry, and it tasted sweet, and it had fruit in it. So I was demolishing it, not realizing I was getting drunk in the process because I don't drink. And that's when they saw me sliding out of the chair onto the floor, and they had to tie me up, and I was 4 months pregnant. They popped so much coffee into it, but I still ate a lot of that paella. And it was good. Oh my God. Joe really knew how to make that. I feel so inadequate making paella compared to him. That's just how good his was. And that's an honest statement. Not many people will say that, but I can. Oh, I'm going to need the tongs for this. They want that meat browned on all sides. If you're cooking fresh beans, do keep an eye on them. They will run out of water. Or stock, or whatever you're doing. I'm actually using whey in mine today. Because I have whey in the refrigerator. So I said, let me go ahead and use it. Oh, here it is, the whey. All right. You see that white stuff on the bottom down here? That is proteins. Shake it up and cook with it anyway. I mean, don't waste it. That's added proteins and nutrients that you need. Like my son says when I'm cooking with him, Mommy, the recipe says water. We're not using water. You're using stocks. And I'm sure his question is the same as yours. Doesn't this food already have vitamins? Yes, but not in a high dose for the amount of stress that we're under in life. The body does a lot of repairing. We are hit with stress 24/7, and so our body needs a lot. So I make sure everything that we eat, I get as much into it as I possibly can. So if people don't like it, I really don't care. I have to do what I have to do for my family. Any of you saying, but I'm old now and there's nothing I can do for my body. Yes, you can. Start changing now. It'll slow down what's happening to you, and if you stick on it, it will slowly reverse it. And so you can. If you have the will and the desire. If you don't have the will or the desire, you're not going to do it, which I understand. There are some people like that. They said, no, I've lived my life, that's it. You know something? I'm learning one thing. Life doesn't stop after you retire from work. You're still working. It doesn't stop at all. Now, I have to go get some bone broth, and I'll be back. It's still browning. Well, I'll be back anyway. Okay, you need 2 large tomatoes, seeded. Cutting them like this, you'll be able to get the seeds out much easier. See? So you sit there and take the stem where the flower was, you cut it right down the middle there, and it opens all the compartments. You can actually use your finger or a spoon and scoop the seeds out, which is much easier. See, my opinion is, and I could be wrong, is that so many women have learned not to cook with instant food. Families are getting their grandmothers and stuff to cook to show the young women of tomorrow how to cook. Because there used to be home economics and we had to go in there, and I found out from people, young ones, the only thing they teach us in home economics and cooking is how to make candy. And I said, that is stupid. So the Board of Ed is going out of its way to make sure that you can't do the math, you can't read the recipes. This goes for sewing, crocheting, knitting. I mean, I learned how to sew from my mother. Then she got me a crochet book. And she taught me how to knit. Then my husband took me into tapestry. I'm not real good at it. And tatting, needle tatting. I can't seem to get this shovel down yet. And I learned Armenian needle lace. Quilting, well, me and straight lines don't work, so quilting's pretty much, though I do see beautiful quilts. I'd love to make quilts, but let's just say I just don't have the skill for it, but it's something that I do admire very, very much. See, that was not hard to do. I'm done browning the meat. I'm going to see what we do next. Maybe oil to do this. Okay, we're going to add another tablespoon of oil into the pot. We'll get to the tomatoes in a minute. I have to move and get some stuff done. You're going to put the onions and the garlic in and saute them. What am I doing this onion for? Okay. Now they want them, now that you've seeded them, they want you to sit there and chop your tomatoes up and put them in a bowl. If your tomato skins are thick, it tells you're going to have a cold winter. we got some more stuff we have to do. We'll go back to that pot. All right, you need 4 ounces of diced, drained chilies. Well, I have 7 ounces, so I have a little more than I need. So I'll take half of this and use the other half for those biscuits I mentioned. It ain't that hot. They're warm, but they're not hot. Maybe the chili powder and stuff and seasonings will help bring that up. Okay, I guess that's enough for my next recipe. Now they say stock, chicken stock. I'm using bone broth. It's from many different kinds of bones. Like I tell you, I collect them and I cook them. So we're going to add the rice in now that you've sauteed the onions. I'll get you over there. All right, we need a half a cup of rice. Now, of course, they're going to sit there and say white rice, but you know me, I am not going to listen. Okay? At least I'm telling you, I'm being honest about it. I'm not listening. They want a half a cup of that. Alright, add the chili and the tomatoes. So we're going to be adding everything now. One teaspoon of salt. A 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. How much salt do you want? We want 3/4 of a cup of stock added. I also want you to add the beans at this point. I can't add my beans. My beans are still cooking, so I have to wait. I'll stir my beans in at the end. I don't care. This will be done. So if you're using canned beans, stir them and make sure you drain them before you do it. my beans will be going in last because I'm still cooking those. We're going to be doing meat. Okay. Now they want you to add all this meat in. And any drippings, as they say. Mix this completely up. It's getting really hot. Now my beans will go in about probably a half an hour, or just when it's done, and I'll mix them then. I'm not going to do it now. Okay, we're going to bring this to a boil. And if you bought canned beans, they go in now, and you mix them up. And this is going to bake for about an hour, so I know my beans will be done. I'll just get them in late. That's all right. I won't die from it. It's almost boiling, that's what I'm waiting for. Okay. Now you're going to let that bake until done, which is anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. And like I said, your beans should be already added if you sat there and bought canned beans. I didn't, so I'm cooking my beans, and I will be adding them later. But I'll stir them up and they'll be fine, because I'm cooking them in bone broth and way, so I'm still going to get the flavors that I'm looking for. Okay? So I'll see you when that's done. Okay, it's done. Here is the dish. And they say serve it with tortillas, but I'm going to serve mine with a salad because I've got all the starch and protein in here, so I'm going to put the vegetables and do it as a salad. So listen, you take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.